hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today. Oh my God, are we here today? Are we? Oh, that's loud. Oh. Mistakes are left. Mistakes are right. Who knows what's going to happen tonight? Oh, it's going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. Oh my God, I could not believe what I saw. Let's check the chat. People are already barreling in here. We are post Chili Bowl night number 1. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but after what they did tonight, after what the Chili Bowl did tonight, how can you not talk about it? How can you not talk about some of the stuff? And man, I mean, maybe the regular midget scene has really detoured me from watching midget racing. But like I said yesterday, you know, the Chili Bowl is good. It is the best midget race you can see because real race car drivers get in those cars. You know, a full field of them, not like one or two that are really young, good drivers, or 2 or 3 coaches like Grant and team has out there showing the youngins how to do it. But it was amazing to see what happened, and the racing was relatively good. You still have the situation, like I was watching. I don't remember. It was one of the Coons cars out there in the heat race, just all over the damn racetrack. But as soon as they straighten the car up, they could just run down the front 2 cars. And there are some periods of time when we're watching that Chili Bowl and we're watching those cars on the track with the hitter teams versus the guys who are just there, who could be really good drivers, who are not just all over the racetrack, fumbling the car left and right and spinning out. But they're not in one of those immaculate rides. And it is kind of sad because it almost comes across as I'm watching a 410 race with 305s. That's honestly how it feels sometimes. When I watch these top 2 drivers nailing their lines, and they're racing for the lead. I think it was a heat race or a qualifier. I think it was a qualifier maybe. And they're just battling it out. And then there's this other car behind them fumbling over the cushion, slamming into the wall, and just all over the freaking racetrack. But once it gets on the straightaway and kind of gets handled for half a corner, it just sucks them, runs them down, just barrels down, and just, it's like it's another race car out there. So that still is an effect that you see. Somebody said, sorry, I'm not rooting for the rent-a-ride teams. And it's hard to tell who's renting, who's not, although Carrick and, you know, he's in a Coons car. I mean, they're obviously not financially struggling. They have a well racing team operation on the West Coast, but you know, so when you put drivers in those cars, they win the races. You know, that's what happens. Kenny McIntosh had a little bit of a struggle, but he's used to midget competition. I think if you took a Kenny McIntosh and threw him into the sprint car scene for a year, he's going to come in there and just not make those late mistakes and be well-rounded and continue to not fall back to 6th. I think anyone who's trying to develop as a dirt racer, at least, go into the midgets. They're hard cars to figure out. They can develop your skill. They can make you very good as far as driving a vehicle. The vehicle is not the problem, but the racing series and scene around it is the problem. You're not going to progress racing midgets full time. I just don't see it happening. That's my opinion. But we saw 2 West Coast sprint car guys, full timers, just come up in there and make the regular. And we're going to see this for the remainder of the week outside of Logan Seavey, because I believe, you know, just like some of these other drivers, Logan Seavey's a Kyle Larson without Kyle Larson opportunity. He's done everything that you could think of. Check. In my opinion, obviously he ain't had the same opportunities in wing cars, but he won Trophy Cup in most people's eyes, just jumped in there and won it. So, I mean, he can get it done in wing sprint cars as well. Regardless, these full-time sprint car guys, these drivers, you put drivers in those cars, they're going to shine, they're going to perform. But the midget drivers, they are good. They're Kenny McIntosh, one of the best midget drivers out there, but he's used to racing midget drivers, you know, and that's not going to put you next to the next level to be able to just dominate that event. Now, he could. I mean, there's some midget drivers that are really good that are just stuck running midgets, and they have the opportunity and ability to win a prelim night or the main event come Saturday. They do have the ability to. But I just feel like competition level is just, they're not used to that. They're not used to all those hitters in the building, you know. And when you go to these full-time sprint car races and other types of motorsports, you're used to hitters all the time. You don't got to worry about the 2 or 3 guys who are decently and okay in the rent-a-ride car. You know, that's not your regular competition, or just a Justin Grant or just a Teamez, which both good in their own right. But you go to wing sprint car racing, and there's 15 to 25 Justin Grant Teamez level talents, and there's some that are potentially a little bit better than them in wing sprint cars, for sure. I think you would say. But regardless, Shane Golobic got beat by Carrick and bitched about it. That's Shane Golobic. Although Shane Golobic performed well, I don't know what he has to really be upset about, except he did kind of dirty up Michael Pickens a little bit. I think some people would agree. I guarantee you Michael Pickens' group agrees with that. But we're not necessarily in here to talk crap about Shane Golobic. I know that that's something that some people would love to do. We are going to start the show off, though, with this situation right here. This situation right here, my ninja. Look at this. So for those who are, I guess, relatively popular on the Facebook platform, you have been receiving, and I'm going to help Chili Bo out here. I'm gonna blast these fuckers. I think I already did it before. But you are seeing, sorry if you see some of my friends down there messaging me. Yes, they're all race car drivers. Wow, race car drivers agree with the Chaz? Wow, that doesn't happen. Well, if they're not in a rich clique and they're not trying to just buddy up with people and go to lunch with certain drivers. Oh, there's females in the friend request department? Yes, and they are declined. Removed. Staying focused over here, ladies and gentlemen. Staying focused. I'm not trying to give you dual citizenship. Get off my nutsack. Anyways. At the end of the day, this is a friend, and I'm sure a lot of people have got this friend request. There's actually multiple mutual friends in this, and honestly, some of these people may not know what's going on. But this is a fake page. Okay, so if you get a friend request from Chili Bo Nationals live stream, more than likely, it's not the live stream. More than likely, it's a lie. And that's what we have here. This is a page that is basically robbing, stealing, carjacking, streamjacking, trying to streamjack. That's the best word to say right there. Trying to streamjack the Chili Bo Midget Nationals. And it looks like they're posting links to view the Chili Bo Midget Nationals, probably on some kind of second to third party service, probably trying to sell it to you for $2.99 or something so they could get your credit card information, go ahead and sell your data. Then you get hacked on PayPal, or your banking account gets hacked and all your money's gone and you're wondering why. Well, you shouldn't have tried to save $10, because Flow is $12.99 a month, technically $150 a year. So I would suggest anyone who has been getting this friend request from Chili Bo Nationals live stream, there's multiple of them, I'm sure, or multiple forms of this. I'm sure if this gets reported and taken down, whoever's creating these pages will go ahead and put up another one. So for the record, Chili Bo is not going to friend request you. That's not going to happen. And anything or anyone doing that is a falsified representation. Now, the real actual Chili Bo, if you want to find Chili Bo on Facebook, it's a Facebook page with 146,000 likes. Less likes than Perth Motorplex, I believe. How many does Perth Motorplex have? Hold on. Back to Australia being just a little bit more mainstream and doing things right. 214,000 followers, 184,000 likes for the Perth Motorplex in Australia doing things right. I'll hopefully be there in a few weeks. But regardless, this is the correct Chili Bo page, the biggest show we ever had, apparently. It has 146,000 likes. 156,000 followers, and this is the actual Chili Bo communicational platform page for the race. So it's a page, it's not a friend. You can't get a friend request from this. It's not possible, and this is where you'll find the results and all these things and everything happening left and right. And then we also found today, as I was just saying, the greatest damn thing to ever happen. I don't know if they're watching my YouTube videos this year. The Chili Bo Midget Nationals stopped the main event. Cars rode out onto the track. We're used to just sending them out there, get on the track and go, fasten your seatbelts and let's ride. Some people don't get that all the time. But at the end of the day, although that was a very interesting thing, somebody sent it to me where they officially said that the whole, I have to look that up. I have to find that. I believe it was the whole situation last year. I believe that the official word was just fastening and let's ride. But regardless, they halted the main event. I was like, what's going on? They showed people going around to each car and they were checking sleeves. They had drivers pulling their sleeves up to check for watches and providing them receiver communications, because apparently there's another receiver out there. I believe they said R&E Electronics that has 2 channels on it. So you could be one channel would be the receiver tower, and then you switch to 2, and it's some boy in the back with this, that, and the other. They were also checking for earpieces, things like that, for Bluetooth communication. And something, obviously I had to go on to YouTube. Let me before I get into that. I said, okay, so credit where credit's due. Amazing job by CB Nationals for checking for 2-way communications and watches before they roll up the sleeves, literally, and go to work on the track. Somebody said the real reason Larson stopped going to the Chili Bowl. That's a joke from this guy. That's a lie. And then some guy said, yeah, because he was the one using them. And then he references my video where we actually had everyone in the world saw that Kyle had a watch on his wrist in Victory Lane at Chico earlier in the year. And it, was said to be a heart rate monitor. And then they addressed it on their high limit talk show and said that you could literally, there's no way, I guess, to communicate with the watch, and that, it was just a heart rate monitor, and you could apparently still go to a website and see like his heart rate and all that. So I don't know how it wouldn't be you wouldn't be able to communicate with it if you can go to a website and literally see what's happening on the watch and with him. I mean, I guess that's kind of proof that there is communication to the watch if I can go to a website and see what it's doing. But regardless, this was a very big deal. This was very interesting. This was monumental for fairness and equality of the event. I thought it was great. I thought it was the right move to do right there in front of everybody. Now, all of a sudden, everyone this week knows that they're screwed, so don't wear one when you go out there. It would be interesting to know if anyone passed or failed the watch test. Now, I did hear the announcing group at the Chili Bowl on Flow, at least, try to say, when I was racing, I never had time to really look at my wrist. I don't know why would that even matter? Well, and once again, when we documented the Larson thing, we tried to help people understand how you don't have to look at these watches to be signaled. Okay? So for anyone who's had a watch or had one of these smart watches, you can have service on the watch individually. You don't have to have your phone around, or you can have it uploading to a website, I guess. It can have service on its own to be able to communicate with the website, but regardless, it can have service on its own. And if you get a text message, that's some bitch, you could set it to vibrate like a really bad. Now, some people may be saying, and what I mean by that is, if you're out there running the bottom and you're in this groove and a guy's coming on the top, or the lane has switched to another lane on the track, all I got to do is text the guy text him and get a vibration. And then I'm out there driving. I feel that, and they put it right there on your wrist. Once again, that's why it can be a heart rate monitor as well. It monitors your vitals. It's right there on your wrist, right there on your veins. When that watch goes to vibrating, you feel it. And some people may be like, well, you're in this race car, and how could you feel that? How could you feel the vibrations in the car when you're out there racing? Well, most people who have drove race cars, I know I have too as well, you are out there racing. Yes, there's all these vibrations, but when something potentially goes wrong, when you get maybe mud packed in the wheel, or something's up with the motor a little bit, you have a miss here or miss there, or you have a piece coming loose, most of the time you can feel or notice that, not because you can hear or see the mud packed in your wheel, but because you feel a difference in the vibration of the car. Because when you're racing the car around the track, there is an intense vibration. There is a certain rhythm, though, to that vibration. So when something breaks that rhythm vibration, like a mud packed tire, or this loose or that loose, or the motor has a little bit different of a zing to it, or a vibration on your actual veins of your body that go to your heart, you notice it. And so the watches are extremely big. Not to look down at them, I don't know how you can do it. Not to look down at your watch, but so the vibrations of that watch can signal you things. You can do this very well if you coordinate correctly. You could set it up to where one vibration or one text message means low. You could make it to where 2 or 3 or multiple texts, so it's just going off multiple times over and over and over, going to the top. You could even put it down to the number if you wanted to. Now, some of these people are like, oh, well, how do you have time to do that? Well, they just moved the damn screen, I believe, so you couldn't watch the TV anymore, and while you're coming off of 4 and down the front straightaway. So obviously these guys have time. I mean, anybody who's been in a race car, you do have time to think and have a little bit of wherewithal, especially if you're good and kind of have the car under control. So this watch thing isn't, you got to like look down and see what the text message says. That's the dumb way of thinking about it. The smart way of thinking about it is code coordination. Multiple vibrations, one, singular, multiple, spaced out multiple. You know, there's different ways to do it. And I just think that some people need to hear that, because it seems like even some of the professionals calling the race have no idea how you could do that. So, anyways, that I just wanted to give a big praise to the Chili Bowl for actually doing something about something that no one should worry about, even though, once again, we just showed you a video, drivers out there with heart rate monitors that communicate to websites but can't receive a text. Regardless, great move by them. It was a great race. The only, I guess, conflicting argument. Well, hold on. Let's go to the chat. I'm sure some people want to sit there and rail me and say you're an idiot and all this stuff. Let's see what you got to say. Oh, congrats, man. My kids are both grown. What? That's called the gray area. The gray area with watches. That's just insane. Pedal man waiting for the. Okay. They're in here having a conversation on their own. We'll continue down the road with the situation at hand. Because the only thing that I saw really people upset about over this Chili Bowl was the Race of Champions. And by the way, wait, which one was this? No. Actually, yeah, we'll open up with this. The race and event, the main event itself. Obviously, I got this post up here by Dominic Selzy. Just watched a local Placerville show breakout at the Chili Bowl. And I once again, I don't want to repeat myself, but I just went down here, you know, and commented as well. When drivers are in those cars, they shine. And you know, those California sprint car drivers, I try to warn y'all about how badass they are just in general against winged sprint car racers, against World of Outlaw drivers. The competition over there, it's an island of its own. It's separated from the rest of the country, but it's a badass pond. There's some big ass gators in there. It's almost sounding like Australia. You know, Australia just handed Sheldon his ass, Reitzel his ass. Macedo was the only one that could keep up, and they're blaming the tires, it seems like. I guess. Not that the other drivers are really good, but it's a tire. It's a GoPro. It's the color green. It's this, that, or the other. Regardless, I do think it's interesting to watch midgets when you have really badass racers in the show. Now, what I was just going to say, the only complaint I saw was the Race of Champions. A lot of people were complaining about the Race of Champions, who should have got in, who should have not been in. The funny thing about this is yesterday, I believe this was posted yesterday, the International Race of Champions, like the IROC that we all used to watch and like, is coming back. There was a partnership kind of announced yesterday that Ray Evernham and a couple of people are bringing this series back. There's an investor that's going to make it happen as well. Ray Evernham, apparently, I put in the comments that I thought that maybe they would merge SRX and IROC, but apparently SRX is sold and Ray Evernham's not involved. I don't know if that's true or factual, whatever. But this is interesting. And you know, when I saw IROC, the one thing we all think about, of course, you know, having a little bit of a debate here recently with some of these people with Larson and all that, and they referenced Steve Kinser's failure in cup racing, and I try to say, well, Larson struggled in cup racing, 6 wins in 6 years. NASCAR Cup people were saying maybe he's not good enough, but he was in a 42 Chip Ganassi car that wasn't, you know, par leveled with the Hendricks and the Penske's and the top tier teams at that time. And then when he got into a Hendrick car, he waxed their ass. He showed them how good he actually was. And my point there in theory was Kinser didn't ever have a fair shot. He didn't get thousands of laps in, you know, local late model racing and ARCA racing and trucks and Busch like Kyle did. And at the same time, they took him from a sprint car to the Cup Series with a developmental team created by Kenny Bernstein that they just threw together and put Quaker State on the damn car and said, go have fun and win it. And then gave him 7 races and said, you suck. I call that as like it was trying to kill the icon of the sprint car racing world and boost up Jeff Gordon, which was the icon that has since replaced the sprint car racing world. It's no longer the big time winged sprint car driver that is the main guy or the idolized figure that everyone wants to be in open wheel racing. It is now Jeff Gordon, Cole Trickle, Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, and in today's world, Kyle Larson. A very good psyop that I believe has occurred onto the open wheel sprint car world because of how big of the fan base it was and a threat that it was to the motorsport scene. And of course, at that time, IndyCar racing was bigger, but then we saw F1 and everything split. Regardless, I'm not going to go into sermon for 2 hours, but it made me think about that race. And so I tried to go find the results for that IROC race in 1994 at Talladega that Steve Kinser won. He beat the best of the best. And unfortunately, it looks like when you have the winners write the history books, you can almost, you can't really find the results of that event. Now, I went to this hold on, let's see here. Let's see. They got this Chat GPT deal kind of segment deal. And you can't really, and I had a conversation with it trying to find, these results, because it's actually pretty dang good. This is on Bing. And it was, I typed in Steve Kinser wins IROC at Talladega results. They tell you that he won it, but you can't find any of it. So I tried to write it in again, Talladega full results in ARCA when Steve Kinser won. And it tells you that he won it, but it only shows you the series results. Like the actual championship standing results. And it shows you the winnings for that championship finish. Obviously, Dale Earnhardt won the championship that year, but these were the drivers that Steve Kinser beat when he was on asphalt at Talladega, mind you, against this level of competition in a fair race car. Equal opportunity, which is what IROC was about, which is why it was so great. Also, Daniel Lasowski won an IROC race at Texas Motor Speedway. But you had Dale Earnhardt in here, Mark Martin in here, Jeff Gordon, Tommy Kendall, Scott Pruitt, Ken Schrader, Al Unser Jr., Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Hurley Haywood. Sorry, I don't really know you, but Steve Millen. Probably some guys. This was a pretty stout field. And when I couldn't find it, I was like, I bet you I could find Jeff Gordon's results instantly. So went over here, typed in Jeff Gordon's first NASCAR start, and lo and behold, a few conversations later, there's the entire result sheet of the 1992 Hooters 500 held on November 15th, 1992. The entire field, of course, Jeff Gordon finishing 31st, the icon that has taken over the role that has been played with just a new actor every so often. But what really struck me here is when I looked at this, $93,000 to win the race. Because everybody's heard me say in 1984, Dale Earnhardt Sr. won the Talladega 500 that paid $47,000, and the Kings Royal in 1984 paid $50,000, paid more than a NASCAR race. What happened, guys? How did we get here? You got to sort of, if you see it as a problem as to why we're not as big as something else, well, you got to see how it actually got to where it is today. How did that transition happen? And even in 1992, for instance, we're looking at $93,000 to win, but then you're getting to 10th place paying $21,000 to Dale Jarrett. How much was it to start in 1992, a NASCAR Cup Series race? $1,000. So here's a reason why Kinser didn't go to NASCAR. Why would you? $1,000 to start. $93,000 to win, but a pretty big drop-off, $56,000 for second, $32,000 for third. But then $1,000, it looks like 31st on back. So Jeff Gordon, $1,000 he won there in that event. Hendrick Motorsports somehow stayed in operation with a $1,000 race car team. So that made me think, okay, I've done the research on 84 numbers, but what about 92 numbers? What was sprint car racing paying then? So I go over here, and I type in, what was the highest paying World of Outlaw race in 1992? And it says the highest paying World of Outlaw racing in 1992 was the first Silver Cup held at Lernerville Speedway, which paid $25,000 to winner Sammy Swindell. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. There's no way. I know for a fact. Why is this not telling me the truth? Why is Speed Sport and all these people not what? And then it says, or then I typed in what was the highest paying sprint car race, because maybe the Outlaws didn't sanction, Kings Royal or these big events back in that day that we know were in existence. And I typed in what was the highest paying sprint car race in 92, and it said the highest paying sprint car race in 1992 was the first ever Silver Cup at Lernerville Speedway, which paid $25,000 to the winner, Sammy Swindell. Huh. So how or why, like if you're just a normal idiot, you're researching this, you don't know about these other races of sprint car racing, and you're just typing in, what was the highest paying this? What was the highest paying that? This guy, or for instance, you watch one of my videos, he's saying, oh, they used to be paid just the same, and you go and research it, and you're like, 25,000? What? Now, mind you, 1,000 to start the cup race was insane, but I'm sure this is relatively close. But we all know that those were not the highest paying sprint car races in that year. So then you have to go and type in, how much was the Knoxville Nationals? Now, U.S. Motorsport, you don't see a speed sport referenced here. Interesting. Media entities are very controlled, not saying that they are. How much did the 1992 Knoxville Nationals pay to win? It says $50,000. Although I believe it does say a sprint car racing event held in Knoxville, Iowa, received a prize money of $50,000. Okay, so now we're back to respectable at least. You know, $50,000, that's as good as finishing third in a cup race. So almost as good as finishing second. Of course, this was one of the biggest races at Atlanta, the Hooters 500. Of course, Hooters, Owls. If you want to have a hell of a rabbit hole, go research Moloch and DuPont, which is a very interesting thing. But that whole DuPont can behind me, you know, I ain't going to do a sermon on the DuPont family. Go figure that one out. They may have some ties into this. They kind of own everything around us. Regardless, 50,000. I'm like, okay, well then how much did the Kings Royal pay that year? $50,000 as well. $50,000. And then I was like, wait, the historical big one kind of came out in this time frame, right? And then 1993 was the first historical big one that paid $100,000. While NASCAR boys are racing for 93 and $1,000 to start. 31st on back. I guess it's a bigger field, so more money going out. But I just wanted to, when I started researching this, and I was just wanting to say, look how much, you know, look, Kinzer won, Talladega. I was just trying to combat these psyop people and the people who are under the psyop, the Moloch energy. I was trying to help them understand, you know, Kinzer could beat those guys when it was a fair game. Kyle Larson can too. He can win more than 6 races in 6 years when it's a fair game, not when he's in a subpar vehicle of a Ganassi ride. And I was talking about even some of those people who are fumbling around the racetrack tonight in these midgets, these type of drivers who have that kind of money, but not that kind of talent, they want to go asphalt racing because you can purchase speed. You can perform better than a Kyle Larson on the racetrack if you can be in a better car than someone who has more talent than you and they're in a subpar vehicle. So I think that's why a lot of these guys fumbling around the racetrack in our dirt cars, they try to go to asphalt real quick because they got the money to buy a better car than the talent around them. Now, regardless, just wanted to set that up. That was very interesting. And then there's only a few stories on Steve Kinzer's actual race. You have to like dig in. I mean, look at this website. I mean, this is like one of the only websites that kind of documents this victory by Kinzer. I mean, I know it happened a long time ago, but I just showed you how you can research, you know, Gordon and Cup and all this stuff. But you can barely look at this website. This is one of the only other ones. The auto channel. This is one of the only other ones that kind of documents the win. Look at this old school writing. But regardless, we started on this with Race of Champions because there was quite a few. Obviously, IROC coming back, that's big news. Obviously, I think that's very big news. But I also think that some people need to wake up on who runs things. And once again, if the victor tells the story, the victor of the whole battle of that racing scene in the 90s, you know, dirt, NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, kart racing, it was a big battle to who's going to take the show. And I have this notion of, you know, they're trying to make this guy look better than that guy to make this form of sport look a little bit lesser than theirs. I mean, the evidence of success from Steve Kinzer on asphalt racing is pretty much, where is it at? You got to dig on sites like this to even know it happened. But you can go find every lap and every move and every great grand thing of the icon they were using to replace him. And it's worked. Worked really good. That's why I call it a psyop. But regardless, this race of champions that happened at the Chili Bowl was very interesting. A lot of people were getting upset at the roster of this race of champions at the Chili Bowl. Doug Roots, really good car owner. Of course, very sad things that happened to his son. Not going to go into that. But really good car owner on the Northwestern coast said two of the best in the world in a midget, Pickens and Kofoid, not in the race of champions. Weird. Now, I was trying to text a few of these people to figure out if they had an offer and rejected it. But it is very interesting. I don't know. Maybe they should tell. Maybe the Chili Bowl should say, we have invited all these guys, and these guys rejected, or these guys accepted. But it is a very interesting point, because this race of champions, by the way, for those who are new to the Chili Bowl game, this conversation is every year, all the time. This race of champions comes along, and somebody's left out or not invited, and the social media world just blasts up. Why shouldn't this guy be in? I saw one idiot say that J.J. Yaley should be in the race over Sammy Swindell. I'm just saying. J.J. Yelly is good, but he had good opportunities as well. I mean, Gibbs, regardless. And he was good. He was good. I'm just saying. But these are a little bit more relevant names in the midget world, like a Pickens and a Kofoid. So why would a Michael Pickens or a Buddy Kofoid be accepted? Of course, here's Michael Pickens' Wikipedia, which I invite all of y'all. Wikipedia is a interesting source. Like, I can literally go in there and write up a Wikipedia right now. So any of y'all or any of you people out there handling your driver's websites or social medias or anything like that, you could go write up a Wikipedia. And if somebody in the world goes and types in your name, it's going to bring this up. And this is going to be like one of the first things that they see to learn or know about you. So it's a very good research item or search item that, you should potentially look into if you're a racing team. But Michael Pickens, obviously a 10-time New Zealand midget car champion and was the 2021 speed car champion. He was also the 2016 Australian speed car champion. He has won races and championships in New Zealand, Australia, United States, and quarter midgets, three-quarter midgets, sprint cars, and karts. What's the most recent success? I believe it's going to be that 2020 or 2016 or 21 speed car championship. Regardless, he's probably won another one. This might have not been updated, of course. And then you got Michael Buddy Kofoid as well, who was a back-to-back midget champion. I believe it was 21 and 22 that he was a back-to-back champion. Yeah, 21 and 22. I believe Logan Seavey picked it up this year. That's correct. So Buddy Kofoid, multi-time USAC national midget champion. Now, are these guys in this race or not in this race based on being invited? Or is it based on they got invited and they rejected it? See, these are the things that we just don't know. So this is why I kind of hear this argument and kind of don't really pay attention to it too much. But MSN, all about it. Once again, they posted their set of Race of Champion invites and the reasoning that they were invited. Of course, number one, Sammy Swindell. I don't know anyone who's logically going to debate why Sammy Swindell should be in this race. That's almost like saying, why is the father in the show? I mean, Sammy Swindell, even though he didn't create the event, he was definitely the child that made that event what it was. And it literally says that as the reasoning. The greatest of all time on the Tulsa Expo Center Raceway. That is a good enough reasoning. I'm sorry. Spencer Baston. In last year, through a 2018 podium finish, Spencer secured his spot by winning the 2023 Invitational Race of Champions race. So there's a reason. Justin Grant, winner of the 2022 version of the Race of Champions. Chase Briscoe, Stuart Haas driver, will race via a Chili Bowl invitation. Now, I don't know if anyone saw the Tony Stewart video that went around where he was like, my favorite car is the midgets and my favorite race is the Chili Bowl. There was like a website a couple years ago where you could go and pay a celebrity to say something, and you pay like $25 and they would pull their phone out. And I was actually on the racing version one. And they would sit there and be like, hey, Janet, it's your birthday. And I really hope you have a great day today. This is your favorite fan guy, the Chaz. And I really appreciate you being a fan of mine. And just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. And I'd push in and send it to him and collect my check. I don't know if that's what happened with the Tony Stewart deal, but it had that very eerie, similar vibe. It's like, why all of a sudden did he put this on camera? What was the motivation here? I didn't get it. I mean, I guess it's because it's Chili Bowl week. I mean, the logical sense would be like, it's Chili Bowl week. He really likes the event. Uh, okay, and that's where it ends. I just don't know why it had to be put on video and shared around the world. It had that very cameo. I think it was called Cameo, where you could pay a celebrity $25 or 50 or $100 to record a little welcome message or something. But it had that vibe. Once again, Chase Briscoe, and some people may not know who Chase Briscoe is, but I, as a child, did go to Chuck E. Cheese. Regardless, Chase Briscoe, good guy. I'm fucking with him. Me and Chase Briscoe go back. I think it was like 2007 or 8. Me and Chase Briscoe were intermingling. It was very funny. He used to joke at me because we were high-level sim racers on a game called R Factor back in the day. Me, Larson, Ricky Thornton Jr., Logan Seavey was on there a little bit too. A few different guys. Chris Bell. We were all buddy-buddy back then. Kevin Swindell was on there as well. And Chase Briscoe would joke at me and say I was the Steve Kinzer of online racing. Very funny guy. Very good guy. Chase Briscoe, I'm just fucking with you. That's why I can make that joke. You know I can, but why are you in this race? I mean, if we're going to talk logical, Chase, why are you in this race? Was this the trade? Is this the trade? Was this the trade involved in this video that I saw running around at Tony Stewart? Hey, Tony, if you make that video about saying you love midgets in the Chili Bowl so we can get some more eyes on this thing, you got to put Chase we'll put Chase in the Race of Champions event. Is that what happened? Is that what happened? I don't know what happened here. How is he in there? I'm just saying. I mean, I guess I get it. I guess I don't. Okay. 5CB, which is in a Chase Briscoe car. This guy is very impressive, by the way. Carter Seraph, I believe you're saying his name like this. Winner of the 2023 Power I Midget Championship. The 2024 event marks the first time Seraph will compete in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Invitational Race of Champions, which Invitational, International, it is kind of abbreviated to IROC, same thing. Tim McCready, do we really need to know why? 2006 Chili Bowl Nationals champion, just a champion all the way around. Ricky Thornton Jr., possibly the best driver in late model competition right now. The former Arizona resident nearly walked out of the Tulsa shootout with a golden driller for the second year in a row. And also, Ricky Thornton Jr. has a Arizona Suntan Sprint Car Series victory, I believe. Not sure if that's true, if it was a Suntan Series event, but he does have a non-wing sprint car victory, a one-start, one-win situation for Ricky Thornton Jr. This was a long time ago. A guy named Kyle Shipley legitimately stepped on his dick on the last lap, and Ricky Thornton Jr. passed him and won the race. Hank Davis, grabbing his first career preliminary night win in 2023, the Sand Springs, Oklahoma shoe will take the Matt Seymour Racing number 29 into his first International Race of Champions. So I guess he's invited because he won a preliminary night, but it also seems like a little bit of nepotism because he's within the Oklahoma region of the event. And that's where I think people start to see, that guy instead of Pickens or Kofoid. Once again, we don't know if they got invites, but they're like, what? Logan Seavey obviously won the race last year. Corey Day, picked up the NARC title, obviously. Zach Dahm, Extreme Outlaw Midgets. Brent Cruz, this was an interesting invite and very deserving. I'm not going to say it's wrong. This is the type of stuff that you want to have for this event. Brent Cruz, the 2023 SCCA Trans Am TA2 title championship winner. Jade Avedisian, 2023 Rookie of the Year, and then picked up the Extreme Outlaw Series. Kenny McIntosh, a preliminary night winner. Looks like that's going to get you into this race. Jesse Love, the Arca Menard Series championship, probably the easiest championship on this list so far to win. And then obviously Tanner Thorson with a previous event championship of the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals. So that's the reasons these guys were invited. And the only one with the question mark, I'm just saying, not hating Chase. This is a question mark. Was this an even trade on this little video I saw running around? Is that what happened here? I'm not sure. Does Chase Briscoe have a championship? And I'm not trying to hate on Chase Briscoe, but Chase Briscoe's a good example as to how, when I say you dirt track racers, you're just as good as these cup guys. Those cup, yeah, Larson's really good, but these guys in cup, they just got there. They're just average guys, and it's just a rich club, and either you got to have the money to get in there or go in the back room to get there too. Obviously it's a joke, but they're just up there, not because they're elite as far as talent. They're just up there because they're elite as far as funding or nepotism or monarchy or buddy system. Chase Briscoe would almost be the poster boy of that example. Now, he's not the only one, and he's probably way better than some of those guys over there, and he ran very well tonight in the Chili Bowl Midget Nationals. Had to do a lot of work to get where he's at. He's really good. He is good. But when I look around the dirt world, and if I equate the dirt late model fields as well, buddy, there's 4, 5, 6,000 guys, I would say, in my opinion, that are better behind the wheel of race cars than Chase Briscoe. This is my opinion. But once again, that's not just singling him out. The whole field over there is like that. The entire roster of that entire castle of NASCAR asphalt racing is like that. You know, I would definitely put Chase Briscoe above Jesse Love. By far. I mean, Chase Briscoe's good. Just when we talk about elites like Kyle Larson's, we talk about Logan Seavy's, we talk about Spencer Basins, Justin Grant's, you know, Logan Seavy's, Ricky Thornton Jr.'s, Tim McCready's, Corey Day's. When I start talking about these type of guys, Tanner Thorson's, these guys, they're not even there. It's a 2 or 3 tiers ahead, in my opinion. And then they have their own tier system of their own. Then we'd have the tiers. Spencer Basin just as good as Justin Grant or David Gravel or Ricky, or, you know, then you have the tier system within that as well. So regardless, this is how this championship deal works out. And I don't really have a question mark on any of them. I guess some could question Hank Davis, but he does have a preliminary night win. It is a race of champions. If you're leaving out Pickens and Kofoid just because you didn't pick them, then that's wrong. But once again, I don't know if people could say, why didn't you invite Pickens and Kofoid just because he's not in the race? Could have been a situation where they were invited and didn't have the time or didn't want to race the event, because you do put your car at risk, especially if you only have one hitter car, that your Chili Bowl car. We've seen at the Chili Bowl, there'll be 2 cars for some guys who want to run this Race of Champions race. And the main car they brought for the Chili Bowl main event on Saturday night sits in the pits while they hop into another car that's for the Race of Champions. So a guy like Pickens potentially doesn't have a second car, you know, and declines the invite for the Race of Champions. So I don't necessarily think you can throw this on the Chili Bowl event as to why these certain guys ain't in the race. There's multiple reasons as to why you may not see a champion that you love or want to see in that Race of Champions event. Regardless. But anyways, that's pretty much all we got to say right there. I threw out a lot of stuff there. And hopefully some who are involved or mentioned, they're laughing. I mean, look at me. I mean, I look like, well, I'm not super. Never mind. I'm going to be quiet. The blonde hair does make me look very attractive. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm waiting for those comments. You're an ugly son of a bitch. Let's see what the chat's doing. The chat's got to be all fired up now. Oh, God. Let's see what we got here. It's happened. Hour of Power, one of the smartest people, one of the hardest working people in the whole area of OZ, Australia, all that stuff. Hour of Power says that Michael Pickens won the New Zealand title last year. The live stream stopped for a couple seconds for me when you started talking about money comparison between NASCAR, World of Outlaws, and Illuminati. Ooh, I didn't say Illuminati, by the way. I said Moloch. Oh, they're definitely going to stop that one. Y'all go do that rabbit hole. When I said Moloch and DuPont, oh my. Oh. Go try to find the religious background of Jeff Gordon prior to 1992. You can't do it. I tried. I tried. It is interesting, though. Scientology. Dianetics. Hell, we'll probably freeze now. But no, it's funny. It's funny. I mean, if you have to laugh at it. If you don't laugh at it, you're going to have a lot of other things to worry about. It's all a joke. I'm just going to say right now, it's all a joke. But if you think that's funny, go look up my interview with Jeremy Mayfield. Oh, when we got into how the tower can penalize drivers, and then I brought up gambling, the feed literally cut. We lost connection with Jeremy Mayfield. Go look at that interview if you haven't. Go check it out. The Jeremy Mayfield interview, when we brought up the gambling aspect with the millions of billions of dollars that are moving around over there. Oh, we got immediately cut. Maybe it's cut right now. Did we just get cut out by bringing it up? They don't want you to go see it. You have gotten a holiday greeting from Rico for $45. That's the one. I don't. I know that the celebrity one that I'm talking about is called Cameo. They had a racer one. I was actually on there. Because I was like, yeah, sure, I'll sign up. They approached me and they was like, yeah, you want to be on it? That's back when we were pretty, stout on the Facebook side of things. No 20-year-old party girl for Spike unless she's already passed out. I don't know what that means. Amen on that Sammy comment. That's like kicking Dave Darlin out of the Bob Darlin Memorial. Thank you. Thank you. If you're questioning Sammy Swindell being in that race of champions, you shouldn't even buy a pit pass. You shouldn't be allowed. You should be kicked out of the building. I get kicked out of the building for righteousness and standing up for the common man. If you go into the damn building and say Sammy Swindell shouldn't be in this race of champions, or you even start questioning that, you should be fucking kicked out of the building. That's how I feel about it. That's me personally. I'll play that bias nepotism too. Is Spike in the drunk take? Spike might have been banned because he might have been under here in a fake name. Steve Kinzer is the king. Let's see here. Selzy sucks. That's why. I don't know why somebody's bringing up Selzy. I was literally just referencing the post. Why is Dominic Selzy not at the Chili Bowl? And that's why you're saying Selzy sucks. Selzy's pretty good. It's the size of those cars. You really can't fit real men into those race cars. It's almost impossible. Thomas Mesrall, I guess we could. I am not going to be able to do any more lives after tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be our last live in this scene. So we're going to be obviously going to Australia. I don't know if we should look at the lineups for the rest of the week at Chili Bowl. I haven't given it much time, but after they did this watch thing, I'm feeling like, it deserves some respect technically at this point. Let me go see if I can bring up the qualifying nights. Event info. So hard. Sometimes their site is just so, Let's see. Lineups. Okay, that's one event night. Trying to look at the qualifying nights. Y'all fill up the chat. We'll continue to reply here. Let's see. Tuesday night. So I'll be able to watch this tomorrow. It doesn't look like, see, this is not as simple as it should be to go and find out. Okay, let's see. Select night. Okay. Entries. Should have been simple enough. I guess. Blame me. Pull up live video off your phone like you did with Spike when you guys went to High Limit. I don't know what that means. I'll be in an airplane going over the Pacific Ocean. I'm not going to go live. Some people was trying to say you should walk around the plane and interview people and start shit. I'm like, that's never what I've done. I'm not going to do it. Let's see here. So this is the lineup for tomorrow night. I'll give you some guys I would highlight. I'll give you some guys that, I think are better than some of these rent-a-ride midget people. Tommy Colburn, no. Brayton Lynch, I would like to see him run well. He always wrecks really hard, though, but he's a good guy. Justin Zimmerman, that's the guy that Sammy Swindell is just a little rich kid and all that, but he's like 40 years old when they got in that wreck down at Devil's Bow. Big mistake by Sammy there. Jeb Sessoms, pretty good Texas racer, but you got to have a hitter. Some of these guys were always looking for the underdog. Jake Newman, you never know, had that big wreck to start the year. You mentioned the High Limit race. He had that big wreck at High Limit. Would be nice to see him come back, and he is very well-rounded in a midget. Cole Gardner's an interesting one. Of course, Clint Gardner's son, I do believe. He's going to be in a 4G car. That's a Jody Rosenboom machine. Those cars are usually good. Colin White, Anthony Esberg. Sorry if some of y'all I just don't recognize. Scout Spraggins, Cap Henry. Be interesting. Jake Andriotti. He's a very, very good driver. Spike Chassis, SR11X. Very important to look at the motors here. Sometimes you're in a 305 and sometimes you're in a 410. SR11X, that's like Open 360. Just kidding. That's a 410. That's a hammer. Thomas Meserow, of course, in the Engler Ford motor that apparently Toyota wants to destroy. That's what people say. I don't think that's factual, but that's what they're telling me, that Toyota is keeping that Ford from being able to get parts to even be made. That's what I'm being told. I don't know if it's true or not. Probably not. But that's what they talk about. And that's what we're here doing. We just talk. That's what we're doing. We're not the news. This is not CNN or Fox. We're not here to talk about the news. We're just here to talk. Brendan Wisely, Brock Barrett, Parker Price Miller. He's always been fast, I think. He's in one of those Dobby machines, which Kenny McIntosh, I guess it's not in a Dobby, the Daymac Dobby machines. KJ Snow. Let's see here. Timmy Thrash, Blake Bauer, Darren Nida, which this guy's been pretty impressive in 410 sprint car racing. He's had speed, not the results. Seems to wreck a lot. But we'll see. We'll see. But he has speed. When I've seen him race, he has speed. It's just sometimes he can't hold on to that speed. It seems like. Clinton Boyles. Could be okay. You never know. Clinton Boyles probably the best announcer on the Flow Racing broadcast, in my opinion. They need some better play-by-play guys. They need some excitement, I think, in there though. And not hating on them. They do a style. It's more Supercross style in there. The Flow actual broadcast. Jory Hughes, AJ Bender, Joseph Ray, Kyle Strickler. Be very interesting to see how he does in that Chase Briscoe car. Andy Page, let's see. Riley Kreisels, always interesting to watch. Cameron Key, a guy who could really do some damage in that building. I believe he ran impressively well last year. Of course, there's Brant O'Banion. We've had him on the show, Inside the Dirt. You can go check out that playlist here on the channel, kind of a documentary-style racing venture-based channel. Comedy, I call it action comedy. If you go on the channel here, you go to playlist, you go to Inside the Dirt. There's like 120 racetrack, race night documentary videos. The latest ones were done around Brent O'Banion. I believe this is a alliance with another team, one or the other, but first time ever rookie there. Well, it'll be interesting to see how he does. Billy Van Ingewen. This is a big block modified driver. Hopefully the Buckwalter team does better. Their car flipped into the fence tonight, but he's always done very well. Jake Buback. This guy is just that badass. I know a couple years ago he was in a Gertie. This has obviously got an SR11X in it. But in that Gertie motor, he was like running up front in the A main. And it was kind of impressive because those are the 305s out there. If you're in a Gertie or something that's not a SR11X or a Toyota, you're down. You know, you're at a big disadvantage. So Jake Buback, definitely look out for what he can do. Brandon Maddox, Hank Davis, which was that kind of Cinderella story a few years ago. Kyle Billman always runs well. Colton Hardy is definitely one of the good hitters out of Arizona. Robbie Price, that'll be interesting in a Johnny Herrera racing car. Zach Dahm, I believe that is in the Bandito-looking, Munchkin-looking car, I guess you would call it. Kevin Thomas Jr. in the Alex Bowman Racing 55X. That'll be very impressive to watch. And this guy right here, of course, Shane Golobic did impressively well tonight. This Landon Brooks is possibly one of the best young racers coming out of California. Again, they always have like 6 or 7 guys who come up. You only hear about one or two of them, like Kofoid or now Corey Day. But this Landon Brooks is on their level. This guy is badass. And it looks like he's in a Matt Wood Racing car, which is teamed up there with Golobic. And so he's getting in with the right people to advance his racing career. Keep an eye out on this Landon Brooks. This guy could jump out of the screen. I don't know where he's at on Dirt Draft, but if this guy is cheap, this is a potential lock-in. In my opinion, this is a potential lock-in driver. He is that damn good. Now, may take some adjustments. Obviously, he's young, so he does iRacing, so he won't have to adjust to the Chili Bow track as much. He'll kind of know what the track looks like when he's out there. Obviously, driving on it's going to be completely different than the game, but the benefits of sim racing is actually getting a visualization of the track and marks and how it's laid out. So he'll have a little bit of an advantage coming into the game at this point of life than, say, 10 or 15 years ago when you went to the Chili Bowl and the first time on the track was just like, wow, I've never seen this shit before. I don't know where I'm at. And I think that's why it took a year or two for those guys back then to just show up, and the rookie was at a big disadvantage. With iRacing, though, I think that they're able to get at least a wherewithal of the track, how it's laid out, how it's shaped, and things like that. Even though the driving characteristics are going to be different, when they're coming off a 2, they don't have to think about what did I see last lap in 3 and 4 and how the car and the track is shaped. They kind of will already know that because of the experience on the game. David Gravel, we'll see. We'll see what happens with David Gravel. He looked all right in his hot laps. Mariah Eade, man, this is a driver I watched come up, kick Kyle Larson's ass in an outlaw kart a couple years ago, a female racer, and hasn't really made the transitions that I would have hoped her to do. I really boosted her up. I think she's still, family's great, people's great. I mean, I'm not judging based on who the people are and how they act. I'm talking about results on the racetrack. This is a person who could have that potential. You know, I felt similar as a Landon Brooks, although Landon Brooks had done a lot more and has done a lot more than Mariah Eade. But Mariah Eade showed a lot of promise and has been in this Coon situation for a decent amount of time. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe figures it out this weekend. a guy to watch or girl to watch out of the Keith Coon stable. Michael Buddy Kofoid. This is going to be a contender to win the race, of course, up there with T-Mez and Kevin Thomas Jr. and a few others. So Kofoid on the docket tomorrow night. Robert Bell, always everybody's love story. Logan Calder. Let's see if we can. Tanner Holmes in the 87 CB Industries car. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Kinzer Edwards. This is kind of an Oklahoma driver, definitely in with the situation, but has performed very well in the shootout and different events that I've seen him compete in. So this could be an interesting race for that driver. Joey Antamea or Amantia or whatever. Obviously, he's been in Inside the Dirt. If you go and look at our videos, I think it was like 5-6 years ago, you'll see him in one of our videos as well. A couple of them, actually. He's in one of those moused out motorsports cars. He's developed a lot over the years. Be interesting to see how it works out. Josh Most, which is the late model modified guy who goes to the Chili Bowl every year and kicks some ass. He was kind of the first fendered guy to really have a lot of success at the Chili Bowl in the 92M Lance Most Spike Esslinger. The Esslinger, when they reworked that track on Saturday night, it's hard for the Esslingers and anything but a SR11 or a Toyota, or hopefully a Ford, to keep up in those first 35 laps that are wide open, basically dyno sessions. That's the bigger issue with the S-Slinger, not racing nights. But when they rework that track on Saturday night for 55 laps, and you got a dyno session against some of the best drivers in the building with the best equipment, and you got Toyotas and SR11s out on the racetrack, it's hard to keep up with them. And that's why guys will get rid of S-Slingers and get Toyotas or get SR11Xs, or hopefully here soon a Ford, because it's about that Saturday night golden driller. And if you can't keep up with these badass drivers who are in that Saturday night A main on a technical 35-lap dyno session, you're not going to be able to compete for the win. So, unfortunately for Josh Most, come Saturday, he's at a disadvantage. But it'll be interesting to see how he does tomorrow. Claude Estes, really good driver down there. Cody Brewer, also a good local regional racer there in Oklahoma. And that looks like the end of the list. Interesting. Last entry here is a Factor 1 chassis, or is that a sponsor? That'll be interesting. Chad Winfrey. Keep an eye out for that guy. Factor 1. Factory Delta Factor 1 Z-Max. That's some interesting sponsors if those are sponsors on the car. But interesting list there. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow night, Tuesday. Once again, I'll be heading out Wednesday morning to head over to Australia. I'll be in Australia Friday their time. I don't know if that'll be Friday our time or not. We'll figure that out when we get there. But probably be able to watch the Saturday night event. But we will not be going live anymore after tomorrow night. So this will be the last race we'll kind of get to watch and see and react to and come on here and do a live if we choose to do so. I'll be keeping an eye out for Kyle Strickler. That will be the guy I'll be watching. There's a lot of guys to be watching in this list. And like I said, Landon Brooks. Obviously, we want to watch David Gravel and see how he does. But Landon Brooks, remember the name. Remember the name. This is one of those guys. That's a hitter. That's a hitter coming to the plate, buddy. And he's in a really good race car, real good operation there with Matt Wood Racing. So Stanton SR11X Spike, that's a winning combination. Winning combination. Is that a Mopar? Oh no, that's Landon Britt has the Mopar. Bullet Mopar W9. Good luck. Good luck out there against those damn motors, buddy. Good luck. Thursday, our time. Okay. Brooks was teammates with Tanner Holmes in the outlaw karting scene. Andy Bandito is a genius. Yes, he is. Bandito is amazing. I think those older tracks before they went to the full track rework suited that car, though. I think that Munchkin-looking car really performed well on those older tracks that they didn't rework, that slicked off, that potentially would rubber up. That new track where they rework it and you're in a 35-lap dyno session and you just need to lay the wood down and rip laps for 35 laps until the track widens out, I don't think that those innovations that Bandito did suit that track style. And that car, from watching it personally, does not like that track, how they do it now. Hopefully, maybe, after all the bitching that happened with the Saturday Night Outlaw Micro Show, maybe they'll alter how they're going to rework that 55-lapper come Saturday and maybe give those guys a chance. But if they do what they've been doing, if you don't have an SR11X or a Toyota or potentially this new Ford that Toyota's trying to keep away from happening, which that's what I'm hearing, not sure if that's true. If you don't have those cars, you're not keeping up with those guys. If you don't have that motor, if you don't have that power plant, you're not keeping up on that 35-lap dyno session. And that's why that combo has been so dominant here. That's why you don't have the underdogs like you used to, is because of that track rework. That track rework is selling those motors, selling those chassis, in my opinion. Thorson and Thornton on Thursday. Not sure. Thornton was tonight. He did not have good luck. Not had good luck at all. Not have good luck at all. Let's see here. Thorson. He's in the 88, so he's not on Wednesday. Sammy Swindell. Let's do some highlights on. I guess we could do the rest of the week kind of preview here. Highlights on, this is Wednesday night. Sammy Swindell would be a highlight. Kyle Cummins, got to keep an eye out for him. Michael Facento, always good in the building, always good in Tulsa. Mike Hess. Let's see here. Go down the list. Wednesday's looking kind of, we're probably going to roll up on some hitters here, and I'm not even seeing them. Alex Bright. Corey Day is Wednesday night. Blake Hahn always runs good in this event. Tyler Courtney, Wednesday. Garrett Williamson. That'll be interesting to see how he does. Of course, the driver who was on the podium against the Outlaws at Knoxville, weekly racer at Knoxville this year in the 360 and 410 divisions. Jade Abedisian on Wednesday. Paul May on Wednesday. Keith Martin. Let's see. Rylan Gray on Wednesday. Danny Wood on Wednesday. Wednesday's kind of, I'm sure I'm missing some guys. I'm not seeing them, or they're Cat Mitchell Mose Wednesday. Jonathan Beeson. Never mind. It's getting, now that I'm rewatching. Hold on. Chase Morton always does good. Or Chance Morton, sorry. So that's Wednesday. Briggs Danner is on Wednesday, of course, those PA fans. Thursday night. Baston. Let's see here. Landon Crawley. Cade Morton. Kyle Spence. Be interesting to see how he does. J.J. Yaley is on Thursday. Andrew Dill. Cody Trammell. Ricky Thornton Jr. is on Wednesday, or on Thursday. Sorry, I thought I saw him in the results tonight. Or maybe that was the Race of Champions. I'm not sure, but I thought he was running tonight. I thought he was. Brady Bacon is Thursday. Sean McClellan Thursday. Tim Buckwalter Thursday. Chase Johnson Thursday. This is pretty stout here. Casey Schumann. Max Adams. Matt Westfall. CJ Leary, Daniel Robinson, Taylor Ferns, Josh Hanna, Ryan Bernal. Tanner Thorson is on Thursday. So is Kaylee Bryson. So that's just some of the ones that are pointing out or sticking out to me. And then Friday night, you can almost get your dirt draft out and pick them as I go down here. Jamie Spears, interesting. We'll see how he does in that Buckwalter 00. You got Glenn Stires there, Justin Grant. He's always been a Friday guy, I think, recently. Shane Cottle, Kyle Steffens, Hunter Schoenberg, Andrew Felker. Never sleep on Andrew Felker. If he's a low price, get him. Tim McCready, Harley White. Of course, Tim McCready and Ricky Thornton Jr. are teammates with the Hayward Reinbold Motorsports car. Of course, or not Hayden Reinbold, Hayward Reinbold, but Hayden Reinbold right below him is a teammate as well. Darren Pittman, always strong. He's in a Matt Wood racing car this year, so that will be very interesting. Darren Pittman, damn good in a midget at the Chili Bowl. Ace McCarthy, Chase Stockton. Logan Seavey is Friday, so this Friday night's pretty stout too. Got some guys who are W makers. Ryan Timms, Sam Johnson's always good. Brian Wiedemann. Chris Andrews, Tom Harris from the United Kingdom. Of course, remember, Tom Harris was voted as the UK, I believe, driver of the year above Lewis Hamilton a few years ago. So that Tom Harris driving those Formula stock cars or whatever over there. So Friday's the interesting night as well. It's hard to, these qualifying nights, in my opinion, are better than the Saturday night. The Saturday night D, C, and B mains are better than the A main, and that's strictly, in my opinion, because they reworked the track. And the first 35 laps is a freight train. Hopefully they do something differently this year. I don't know if they will or they won't, but that's my opinion. That's what I think. These qualifying nights are fun to watch, though. Fun to watch. So be sure to tune in and watch them all out. That was just a little rundown of the list of the guys I think that are some hitters. Let's see here. Ryan Bernal, a.k.a. Race of Selected Drivers, yes. Yeah, RTJ ran the Race of Champions. Okay. Pursley, I didn't look for Pursley. Brooks. Okay, we're already up there. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I guess that's about it. Thanks for tuning in to the show. All my opinions, all my thoughts. How about that Steve Kinser deal? You can't even find results for the race to show people, hey, he beat those guys. And then the money it paid out to win that Atlanta Motor Speedway, big time Hooters Moloch 500 race at Atlanta, $1,000 to start. And then when I tried to compare sprint car payouts, the system wants to say the biggest sprint car World of Outlaw race was $25,000. I literally had to type in these other events that we knew were bigger to find evidence otherwise from the same search engine. Even though I typed in sprint car racing, and under the Knoxville and the Kings Royal, it said a sprint car racing event in 1992. Just saying. Just saying. It's very interesting. Misinformation, disinformation. It's very interesting. Anyways, like I said, we'll be leaving Wednesday morning. We'll be here live, hopefully, tomorrow night. And then if you want to join the support to get us over there or to help us stay in Australia, it looks like potentially with how plans are going and possibly falling out and going, it looks like we might be in Australia all the way to April. Potentially. We're going to have to wait. We're going to have to see. But we are going to be going to Perth. Looks like we're going to be visiting Brisbane. And then it looks like we're also going to go face the deadly snakes and spiders of Tasmania. That's what it looks like. And then ride on the ferry. That's what we're trying to do. It isn't 100% done yet. It isn't for sure. We are for sure going. We are for sure more than likely going to Perth. After that, it is kind of up in the air. But these are some things we would like to do. Listen to the description to join the support to potentially make these things happen. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you want to, if you can't monetarily support, if you want to support in any way that you can, like the video. Share the video around, especially this one with all the great information. Comment below, gets it out there and to your friends and other people's feeds and when they go to YouTube and all that. And above all, always be sure to subscribe and maybe potentially join the membership. We did have an Australian or an OZ join the membership today, and that's going to help a lot, especially if this trip extends into 3 months. That monthly membership will definitely help a lot. I would suggest to pick the $4.99 or the $9.99 one. That'll help a little bit more than the $2.99 when we got on there. But anything does help. Here with the Chaz, doing it all on my own, trying to, create friends and partners. But hey, we get a little bit too real. We get a little bit too raw. You can't have corporate sponsors when a guy's on here digging into the history of the sport like he's freaking Cat Williams interviewing Shannon Sharp and trying to show all the truth of all the negativities of all these iconic positions and people that they have created within the system. They don't want the Chaz. They can't support that. It's sad, but it's very similar. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, was a fun episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Once again, like, comment below, share the video around. And as always, be sure to subscribe. We will catch you next time.
We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best, so we